Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, sir.
Very good morning. Continuous and comprehensive evaluation. This we will see. Role of community member. What is the role of community in the continuous and comprehensive evaluation? But before that, we will see that what is the community and what is a role of a community in education, because till now we have explored that assessment is the inbuilt mechanism of a teaching learning process education system. So we have to also outline what is the role of a community in the education system. We will also see side by side that what are the recommendations of different education policy, different committee and commissions regarding the involvement of community in the education process and why they were recommending that. And then side by side at the end we will see that what is the role of community in the comprehensive and continuous evaluation. So when we talk about the community, actually literally when you will see, it is comprised of two words. It is common and unity. If there is a commonality in the unity, if there is a common thing in a group of a people, then it will be termed as a community. So for being a community, it is required that there should be a common interest of a group of a people. It's a common and unity. There should be a common interest. It may be interest on the basis of religion, then also it can be termed as a community. It can be common unity, commonality on this basis of nationalism, on the basis of common interest. So, when a group of a people have a common interest, they are sharing a common interest. It may be based upon their economical structure, social structure, geographical locations, ethnicity, so many things may be there. Are their personal belief, are their thought process, or their interest. Suppose that I am interested to help the people during this COVID-19 time, those who are facing difficulty. I may form a community which will have a common interest. I may want to help the children who are facing difficulty in learning this difficult situation. So that group will be a community because the group have a common interest. They are sharing a common interest. That is the community. The community here that we are talking about, they have a common interest of education. And this community is a very large in nature. Large in nature means the community here we are sharing is not only the group of people whose children are going to the school, rather than it is bigger than that. Because children are also a member of a different community whose socioeconomic status is different, whose religion is different, whose geographical locations are different. So they are also a part of that. When the student will be get education, then a group of people, even though whose children are not going to their school, they will also get benefit out of that. If they will not get a proper education, then also they will be affected out of that. If in a society there is a there are some children who have been not educated, so the chances of being involved in the NC social activities are more. I am not saying that if they will get educated, then they will not be involved, but it can be minimized. And if they will be involved in the anti-social activities, then who will get affected? The society, the community. So in that way, it is a more complex in nature. But anyway, the basic definition is that they must have a common interest. The group must have a common interest. That is the community. Then the next point of a discussion is that why the community members should be involved, because the benefit of educating the children will directly go to the community. They will have a prosperous life, they will have a better culture, they will have a progressive thought, progressive vision, they will have a workforce to do the work, they will have a hands to earn the livelihood, even they will have hands to guide their future generation. So one of the things which is very clear is that when children will get educated, society will get benefit. And if the children are not educated, then the direct effect will be seen to the society. And that's why when you will see the different civilizations, you will find that the civilization where the education was having a prime focus, they have nurtured their rise. And where the education was not a prime focus, they have not grown up to the level. So education based society will grow. And educating a child is not only the responsibility of the family and the school, rather than it is a shared responsibility of a community. Because the children used to learn each and every movement formally or informally, directly or indirectly through the several interactions with the community. And that's why we know that the law Vygotsky says that the social constructivism, we used to learn with the interaction with the society. So society is getting benefited if the student will learn, and the society is getting affected if they don't. And society plays an important role in the learning process. Simultaneously, it is also seen the society which is progressive, who are well aware, their school functions well, because the school is the offshoot of a society, is a constituent part of a society. So if the society will be educated, society will function well, society will be well aware, then the school will function better. And it is also observed the area where the peoples are not very much aware of the education, there the dropout rate are higher than the other part of the country. Retention rate is also affected, enrollment rate is also affected, and the functioning of a school is also affected. Means functioning means the teachers are coming regularly, teachers are teaching the students, they are devoting their time, they are dedicated toward the student. It is also affected. It has been seen. So if the society is not well aware and well involved, then it has a effect over the functioning of a school. So society, in this context, it is found that society must be involved in the schooling process. Their involvement must be ensured. Later on, to ensure the involvement of the society, different modalities like a parent teacher association, SMDC, PTA, MTA, like there's so many uh, different organization, different group has been formed, and they have been given a constitutional validity. They have been empowered by giving some sort of a right to those groups, those modality of involvements. But the fact that it was observed, the society which is very well aware of that, they ensure the better functioning of us. And that's why, by keeping in this mind, this all type of findings in the mind, the different committee when you will see, like a Kothari Commission, Secondary Education Commission, isn't it? All the commission have recommended that the involvement of a community member must be ensured, they must be involved in the process of schooling. Even when we see the different education policies, the education policy of 68, 86, even the revised education policy of 92, even the draft national education policy that was of 2016, and even the final education policy, national education policy 2020, all the national education policy talks that the community involvement must be ensured in the schooling process, because we cannot separate the school from the community, and without the active participation of the community, a school cannot function well. In order to make the school function well, we must see the involvement of the community, we must ensure the involvement of the community. And that's why, even when you will see the act, right of free and compulsory education act, RTE 2009, when you will find, it also talks about ensuring the community participation in the schooling process. Even, but the one of the major hurdle was that how to ensure the community participation, because I have seen right from the independence of India, lot of committee, commission, act, policy have been framed, and all of them were recommending to ensure the community participation. And before that, even before the constitution of parent teacher association, SMDC, PRI institution were existing. PRI means Panchayati Raj institutions. But it was felt that they are not enough empowered, even not only for the field of education, but for the other things also. They were not enough empowered. And that's why by constitutional amendment 73 and 74th, 73rd and 74th constitution amendment, they have been empowered. No, Panchayati Raj institution were revived. They have been restructured and have been given a constitutional power. Earlier, they were not having the constitutional power. So their involvement was limited. Because in order to be involved, you must have some sort of a power. Otherwise, if teacher is not teaching well and if you tell that you are not dedicated toward the teaching, then why the teacher will listen your words? Because he don't have a fear. So, by 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment, the revival of a PRI institution were done and they have been empowered. The second thing is that apart from that, it was also proposed to have a local committee of a community society for schools, because PRI institution have a different type of variety of work. So it was found that they may not be able to dedicate for the school. So what was proposed? To frame a school management and development committee. And in the school management and development committee, a community member will be involved. And different state government have formulated the regulation. As far as Orissa is concerned, in the SMDC, total 19 members are there. So SMDC will be of a 19-member committee, wherein the members will be chosen from a different sectors. Like that, there will be non-teaching staff representative, there will be parents representative, there will be teachers representative, there will be a government representative. Like that, the representative will be there. Like that, the parent teacher association was formed so that a teacher can track of the learner through the parents. The teacher can have a better understanding about the learner, and the parents will also have a better understanding about the learner by talking with the teacher. PTA, MTA, SMDC, all these was framed. Even that when we talk about the DPEP1, DPEP2 era, then the village education committee was formed. So all these committee were formed and they have been empowered also to see the process. And why it was required? Because education is a social process. It will not happen without the involvement of a society. So this was the genesis of involving a community, involving a society in the schooling process. As a whole, up to now we have seen. Now we will see that what is the role of a community in the assessment process. For that, you have to understand the process of assessment and what are the components of assessment. The assessment is a continuous in nature, and assessment also includes a scholastic and co-scholastic area. And for a better assessment, we must understand the student as a whole, because the major purpose of assessment is to understand the children, to identify their difficulty, to understand their strength, and accordingly you have to plan your lesson for the benefit of a learner, for the benefit of a learner. And when the teacher alone will be involved in the assessment process, it may not be always possible to understand the learner as a whole. So that's why it is required to involve the parent, involve the community to understand the learner as a whole. For better teaching learning process, it is also required to understand the socio-economic condition of a learner, the reading habit of a learner, the environment in which the learner is there. And these all type of information cannot be gathered by the teacher in the classroom alone. For that, the teacher are supposed to go beyond the classroom. And one of the modality of going beyond the classroom for the assessment purpose is by involving the community, parents, society in the assessment process, so that their feedback can be collected. Remember here, when I am saying the involvement of a community, society, parents in the assessment process, it doesn't mean that they will be providing a grades. No. I just now told that one of the major objective of assessment is to understand the learner for creating better learning opportunities. So here the meaning of involving community in the learning process is to get a feedback from the community about their learning habits, about their learning pattern, the society, socio-economic condition, and all those things. Their social involvement also, because I hear assessment will be comprised of the scholastic and co-scholastic areas. So, how much the child is participating in the social events, how much the child is familiar with others, how much they are participating in the game and sport, cultural activities, the behaviors, dedication toward the work, creativity, because creativity and critical thinking, these two things are not a thing which can only be shown in the classroom. In order to understand the child's creativity and critical thinking, you have to go beyond the classroom. Then only you can see the creativity and a critical thinking of a student. So in this context, it is required by a teacher to go beyond the classroom to understand the learner, so that a teacher can get a feedback, get a reflection, and with the feedback and reflection they can design their own lessons. So that is the modality of, and that is the reason of involving community in the assessment process. So when we see, it looks very simple, but there is a long effort has been taken to streamline and to involve the community in the schooling process. Right from the independence of India, several steps has been initiated, and even for the universalization of a primary and a secondary education, different steps, different type of a program has been initiated by the government, and in all the program the provision of involvement of a community was well thought of.